You know you don't belong here. Yes, you heard me. You don't belong here. You might ask, well, then where do I belong? You belong in heaven. God made you to be with him in heaven. You know, church buildings, especially the great cathedrals around the world, are built in such a way to represent heaven. I had a professor in the seminary who liked to use this phrase when we spoke about the architecture of church. Spires aspire. You look at a spire, the steeple of a church, and what must you do? Look up. Look up to heaven. The great cathedrals have vaulted ceilings that cause us to gaze upwards, to gaze up towards heaven. And all that we do in church is to get our minds fixed and in tune with the things of heaven, singing like the angels, incense that rises up like our prayers, the Eucharistic feast, the great banquet of heaven, all to get us to heaven. The problem is we're not there. Heaven is not here, so we think. And so we can't possibly experience heaven. But that's nonsense. We can experience heaven here on earth by acting like we are in heaven. How? By seeking God, seeking his kingdom, and helping others to do the same. The story in the gospel, the parable of the mustard seed, the smallest of seed that sprouts into the largest of bushes, where all the birds of the air have room to dwell. That's how it is with heaven. God wants all of us to be with him in heaven. He wants to welcome us into his kingdom. Here on earth, in our slice of heaven, in our church, we must be equally welcoming. And we show that spirit of welcome by how much we care, how much we show that what we do really matters. Think about it this way. There are important things in your life, aren't there? Things that are important to you. And because they're important to you, don't you desire to have others join you in those important things? Think about a favorite restaurant. Don't you tell your friends, you ought to try that restaurant, it's really good? What about a sporting event? Why don't you come with me to my children's school event? How about the local firehouse? You're going to like it there. We do great things. We care, and you'll want to care. And we show that it matters to us by how we keep it clean and tidy. And it will mean something to you as well. Why not church? If church is to be a slice of heaven, why not show how much it matters to us, to you, to me? The atmosphere, the welcome, the music, the food, the conversation, as it were. Maybe think about it this way. Will the angels make room for you in heaven? Why not do the same here and make room for others who come in behind you? Will you hear the singing of the angels with all their hearts? Why not sing like an angel? Do you think the angels will keep the kingdom swept clean? Be an angel. Clean up after yourself here in church. Take your bulletins home and straighten up the songbooks in your pew. I know they might seem like simple things, small things, but that's just the point. It's the small things that lead to greatness. A simple seed sown leads to a great harvest. How? I don't know. In fact, we ought not to ask how. Here's what Jesus says in the gospel. If a man were to scatter seed on the land and would sleep and rise night and day, and through it all the seed would sprout and grow, he knows not how. Of its own accord, the land yields fruit. That's what God wants to do in our lives. He wants to show us how great things can happen by the small deeds that we do. God wants and will do those things for us. In that first reading from Ezekiel, He takes the sprout of the cedar, and on the mountain height of Israel, he says, I will plant it. It shall put forth branches and bear fruit and become a majestic cedar. Think of that. A majestic cedar, how great those trees are. And God wants to do that. The small things that we do, the little things that we do, the things where we say, what difference does it make? It makes a huge difference. And if you do those little things, then we will see great things happen. God will make great things happen. As sure as a planted seed sprouts and grows, so will God ensure that what we experience here will lead us to the fullness of God's kingdom. I know it's easy to give in to discouragement and impatience with God's plan. But know that God will see to it. God will see to it that we experience his kingdom, because that's where we belong.